This is Stover, the barbecue hunk. You're listening to the BBQ Central Show. Have a hunky day.
Happy to have you aboard here for the really big barbecue show.
Boing. We cook because we have to, and we grill because we want to.
Hit me.
Fine, how's it going?
You have a great show. I'm a big fan.
Boing.
So what seems to be the problem here? This man looks like he's dead and he's in the crackle. Charbono! It's all about the Charbono, dude!
Succulent fish. What?
He ate 2 feet for wiener.
Oh, listen, Lavernius, shut your face.
I'm shaking like a dog shit peach seeds.
We have top men working on it right now. Top men.
And just like that, we are into the second hour. It's the BBQ Central Show. We do this show live every Tuesday from 9 to 11 p.m. Eastern. The show is also being recorded, so if you're just tuning in now and you missed the first hour with Chris Lilly, don't worry about it. The podcast will be released a little bit later this evening. The second hour will be released on Thursday, and we'll talk to you about Friday here in just 1 second. Coming up on the second hour of the show, or should I say still to come on the show this evening, the Embedded Correspondents will be joining me for their fourth Tuesday of the month in the second hour visits. Both 14 and 35 past, or should we say, will carry the balance of the second hour. The show is generated and brought to you from
Palm City, USA, Cleveland.
We say good evening to those of you watching the show tonight through one of our video streaming platform partners, Facebook and Twitch /BBQ Central Show. You can also watch the show on YouTube, which is youtube.com/@BBQ Central Show. There seems to be a number of people in the instant chat as well. There is a YouTube poll question of the week that we can update you on, and it's biting back fairly quickly. I asked, is attending Memphis in May Barbecue Festival on your bucket list? And now 78% of you are saying yes, but 22% of you are saying no. Closer than I thought. I figure live fire folks have a majority interest in going. Not saying that 78% isn't a majority. However, I thought it would be more into the mid-80s, potentially 90% that folks would want to attend a Memphis in May, or it being on their bucket list at least. But it is a little bit closer than I anticipated. 78% saying yes, and 22% saying no. Got this in the instant chat from Living a Rogue Life. So, A, I'm questioning if in any way if this person is related to our pal Doug Scheiding, because he is the Rogue Cookers head cook. But we'll figure that out later. The question is, Greg, is the rumor true that you don't want to be in the Barbecue Hall of Fame? A, I don't know if that's a rumor that I don't want to be in the Barbecue Hall of Fame. What's true is this, living a rogue life. In the end, it does not matter to me if I end up in the Barbecue Hall of Fame or not, number one. As I said a couple weeks ago, I am a person that is competitive by nature. What does that mean? It means that I know every year that we have been told how this Barbecue Hall of Fame works, the first step to anybody potentially getting into the Barbecue Hall of Fame is being nominated. Your name has to be nominated. You got to go through the nomination process. That name's put in a hopper, and then they bring your name up during the name nomination decision calls that they have. And my name has never made it over. It's made it out of the big pool, but it's never made it over the fence onto the finals list. Does that matter to me in the end? No. But because I'm competitive, I know I'm in there. What does that mean? I have a chance. Well, if I have a chance, then that means I want to win. So if winning means I'm in the Barbecue Hall of Fame, well then yeah, of course, because I know I'm in there I'm nominated multiple times every year. I just never seem to get through the first round of gatekeepers to get on the finals list. And then, the finals list, I got a lot of people that I know that would be voting that I feel probably would vote for me, maybe with one of their 4 votes. Maybe they wouldn't. But I know a lot of those people that are the voting public for the Hall of Fame right now. It's the living members of the Hall of Fame. That's who votes. And I know a lot of them, almost all of them. So I would feel pretty good that if I got on the finalists list, I would potentially make it in. But in the end, do I care? Like, do I want? To answer your question, is there a rumor, or is the rumor true that I don't want to be in the Barbecue Hall of Fame? No, that's not true. What's true is it doesn't matter to me, number one. And number two, if I get in, it'll be great. But it doesn't matter to me. It matters to some people. For instance, second Tuesday of the month, regular guest, Meathead Goldwyn. It mattered to him. He was lobbying. He wanted to get in. He was sending his resume to any and everybody that would take it. He was finding who were the voting members of the Hall of Fame and lobbying them. It mattered to Meathead that much, where he would put in that effort. I am the exact opposite of Meathead. It does not matter to me that much. I will put in zero effort to try and lobby myself to get into anything ever. I'm either getting in because you want me there, or I'm not. And then I will either be happy that I'm in, or it won't matter to me that I'm not in. The whole goal in the Hall of Fame thing was to make sure it was as transparent and open as possible, because it wasn't. And I hammered and hammered and hammered, and then it became the way it is today. Is that because of me? Maybe in part, but it also lends legitimacy. You can have the normal Hall of Fame arguments at this point. You know the process. It's ever changing. Improvements are trying to be made, whether you like it or not. These are the arguments we want to have, not, well, how are these names even picked? Who's voting? What's the process? Well, nobody knew any of that before. So that was the only goal in this for me, was to lend transparency or demand transparency to this. Whether I make it in or not is irrelevant. But God, I want to get in. Hey, coming up on the best moments of the BBQ Central Show in 10 minutes or less this Friday, episode 283, taking you back to May 22nd of 2012, where you would find me having a conversation with one Melissa Cookston from Yazoo's Delta Q, the owner of Memphis Barbecue Company, the pitmaster of Yazoo's Delta Q. And back then we were talking about Yazoo's winning the overall grand championship at the 2012 Memphis in May Barbecue Championship. Their second overall world title at that point. I believe they finished with 2. And we also covered what all goes into that event. And there is plenty that needs to happen before the actual cooking starts, as we also found out from Chris Lilly last hour. So if you aren't familiar with what all is needed to get ready to cook, then you will want to make sure you check out this show Friday. By the way, I don't know if you heard it or not.
A BBQ Central Show exclusive news update.
Greg Rempe reporting from the breaking news desk here in Cleveland, Ohio, the city that makes most live fire breaking news across the world. Oh, across the nation. Nay, the globe. I screwed up my own lines.
Get that big stuff out of here.
Christ. I don't know if you saw this or not, but there was a story released towards the end of last week announcing Melissa Cookston's retirement from competition barbecue. Say it ain't so.
Get that big stuff out of here.
So the winningest woman in competition barbecue is calling it a career. And now it looks like I'm going to have to reach out to Melissa, see if she wants to come back on the show and talk about the career that was, and of course what she's looking to do moving forward. But in her prime, I don't even know what that means in competition barbecue, because Johnny Trigg was at Memphis in May. So, I mean, if we're talking about prime, Johnny Trigg is still in his prime at competitions, for crying out loud. Blues Hog had him out there. Class move, by the way. Tim and Brad, that was class. So I don't know what it means to say when somebody was in there hated, but if you don't know Yazoo's Delta Q, they did a lot of winning. They were whole hog specialists. They won the hog category a lot. They won the overall world title a lot. They did a lot of Memphis Barbecue Network cooking. They were Team of the Year for Memphis Barbecue Network, and all piloted by Melissa Cookston. So she made an announcement. There were some TV interviews and stuff done as well, saying that she was calling it a career after this past weekend. So we should catch up with her and see what's going on. By the way, before we get out and meet up with the embedded correspondents, the next All-Star Barbecue Series event that is partnering with Famous Dave and the World Food Championships is going to be June 3rd, 2023 in El Paso, Texas. So not this coming weekend, but that following weekend, I believe. The next All-Star Barbecue Series event, June 3rd in El Paso, Texas. Hopefully Smokin' Joe's Pit Barbecue, who's in El Paso, Texas, is signed up and is one of those 6 teams competing. For more information on this event or to register at an upcoming event, go to famousdaves.com/All-Star BBQ Challenge. This could be a question for the embedded correspondents. Guy the Cooking Sam weighing in. Who has a better resting angry face, Melissa Cookston or Johnny Trigg? Guy, that could be the question of 2023. The embedded correspondents are ready. However, I need to tell you about my pal Sterling Ball and the big gang over at Big Papa Smokers. What do we love about Big Papa Smokers? We love that everything's been hand-selected by Sterling himself. We love the rubs and the seasonings. That's right. 13 perfectly balanced flavors transforming ordinary meals into extraordinary meals. They own Granny's barbecue sauce, too, so if you're looking for a new go-to sauce that will please everybody, or you're tired of what's existing out there currently in the marketplace, try Granny's sauce, a great sauce all by itself. Also, great to trick out. Use it as a base sauce and then add your own little touches. If you're looking for a versatile smoker that's easy to use, check out that Mac 2-Star General Pellet Cooker, because Big Papa Smokers happens to be the exclusive Mac dealer, even offering special packages. If you are a backyard grilling enthusiast who's looking for durable and versatile cookers, but you're not sure which one you need or might want, call them. 877-828-0727. That's 877-828-0727, or shop the website at bigpopsmokers.com. That's BIGPOPPA smokers.com. And we'll be back with the embedded correspondents right after this. Stick around. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the BBQ Central Show. Howard Stern, Jim Rome, Dan Patrick, and Greg Rempe. The Mountain Rushmore of talk show entertainment. Now, let's get back to the BBQ Central Show.
The YouTube chat is hot this evening. It's one of the best chats that I have seen, and I don't really pay too much attention to it. Smokin' Joe's Pit Barbecue. I'm renting out my grandfather's crop dusting plane, and I'm flying around the world with a banner behind it that reads, and I quote, "I don't know who needs to read this, but Greg Rempe belongs in the Barbecue Hall of Fame." I can answer who needs to read that. Nobody. Nobody needs to read it, because nobody cares that I'm in or not in the Barbecue Hall of Fame. And by the way, Joe, do you have to rent your grandfather's crop dusting plane, or can you just get in the crop dusting plane and take off? And he might not be any of the wiser. I'm just wondering out loud. Don't pay for stuff that you don't have to pay for. Remember, there's a rule number 3 of the show, which states, if it's free, it's me. Rule number 3, Joe. Rule number 3. All right, it's this time of the month where we join our pals, Doug Scheiding, John Solberg, and Rusty Monson, better known as the Embedded Correspondents. And there's Doug Scheiding there to the right of me, the longest-running correspondent. John Solberg's below me from Michigan. And there's good old Rusty Monson from the great city of Utah, catty corner and bottom right. So plenty of stuff going on here this evening. There's so many things that have changed over the course of 8 hours. I've added stuff. There's things that I couldn't even add in. There's 2 bona fide competitors here on this. John's also a competitor, but I'm sure he would deny it more than he would admit it. But certainly Doug and Rusty are. There's a guy. Don't you always love these stories? There's a guy that is here in Cleveland. I will mention the company by name, although they are not affiliated with the show at all. But they are a high purveyor of quality meats called Mr. Whose phone is that?
Sorry, I turned it
Dog!
over.
Next time you're fired. There is a purveyor of quality meats here in Cleveland called Mr. Brisket. Hank Kornblatt is the owner, and he's got a worker out there named Aaron Huntelman. You know Aaron Huntelman from Go Big or Go Barbecue out here in Eastlake, Ohio. A big Traeger fan, and Traeger shits on him all the time, but we won't talk about that. So he has decided to put an offering out to the competition world. And we'll get to the Assurity questions here because I know you're all dying to start going yes or no. Rusty, let's start with you. If I told you right now you could get your hands on 12 trimmed chicken thighs, competition trim, all weighed out, all 6 ounces or all 7 ounces, the knuckles off, the veins out, the oyster, the skin's flipped over and done all that bullshit to it, and it's a nice pillow bite-through thing, would you buy that, or do you think that's bullshit and cheating?
I would not buy it because chicken is super easy for me.
But everybody complains about chicken. It's so long, and you got to do this and that and the other thing.
Because they don't do it right. That's why. They don't understand that you don't have to go crazy on it. It's not that complicated. They trim all the fat off. You don't need to trim the fat off. You just need to cook it properly. You don't have to get all the gizmos off, just some fat like plugs and different things like that. It's not that hard. You know, you chop off the bone, boom, boom. You get all that fat pockets out. You take the skin and you basically you just trim the skin up. You don't take the fat off because you'll cook it long enough for that fat to melt and it makes it juicy inside. It's a very simple process. In fact, I like cooking. I'd rather trim a chicken than I would brisket or pork.
Would you think less? Let's say I was competing in the stall next to you, and I went to Mr. Brisket and I bought my chickens from Aaron and Hank. Would you think less of me, or that I was somehow cheating because I didn't learn how to trim my chicken, or that's part of the pitmaster way?
First of all, if I turned to my right and you were in the booth next to me, it'd be the best day of my whole life.
Yeah?
I would think that would be the funniest thing.
It could happen, Rusty. It could happen.
Secondly, no, I wouldn't touch you at all, man. Do you. I'm still going to whoop your ass. It don't matter to me.
All right. Doug, what do you think about this potential game-changing product into the competition market? Pre-trimmed competition chicken.
Yeah, of course, in Texas, it'd have to be the half chickens, but I am fairly particular. If you know me, you know me. I'm particular of how I do things, and I would want to do it myself.
Would you think it's cheating if I bought it and was competing next to you?
No, there's a guy, Andy Lugo, down here who was trimming briskets for all kinds of competition cooks, and I never really thought much of it. I mean, whatever. Go ahead and do it.
And people are paying him to trim the briskets.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
how much does he get to trim a brisket, do you think?
I don't even know what the cost is, but it never really bothered me at all. He started a business doing that, left the meat market and started doing that, and trimming briskets for like meatloafs for competition cooks.
Oh, great. I love that. John, what do you think about trimmed competition chicken showing up at your door ready to cook at an event?
I'm ready to buy it to cook at home.
Really?
I think it's great. Yeah, I have, believe it or not, trimmed a butt ton of competition thighs, a lot of them. And I'm like, and people around my family love it when I cook competition chicken for them. I don't like to go through all that trimming, or I got to take Rusty's class, one or the other. I'd ship that stuff right to my door. I'd take it to the competition. I think it's great. I hope he does well with it.
And you don't think I would be cheating if I brought it to the competition, or somehow that makes me less of a pit master, or I'm not learning what I need to learn?
Not at all. It's no different than fire management or buying a rub or anything else. Look at all those things that we called that once upon a time. If you didn't throw logs, you weren't a pit master once upon a time.
Go ahead, Doug.
I've seen it at KCBS events. There's people that go around and put the greenery in boxes for people. There's no difference in that. To me, it's the same.
I'm finding out things that I never even knew about tonight. Wow, I love you guys. You guys are the best. Some guys making money trimming briskets for other people. I can't wait to go on Facebook after the show is over. I took up with a couple folks on this whole chicken post on Facebook, and they were really giving it to me. And now I can just turn right around and say, okay, well, make sure you go give this guy the what for, because he's trimming everybody's brisket in Texas. And then there's teams that go around making your boxes at KCBS tournaments. So yeah, this is enlightening, to say the least. I didn't know that was nonsense going on down there. All right, but here's new nonsense, the 100% Assurity question. John, we'll start with you here this evening from Michigan. Between the two, you would rather have an electric grill versus a battery-powered grill?
No, 100% no.
Oh.
Get that big stuff out of here.
Rusty, you would rather have an electric grill versus a battery-powered grill?
Also no.
Oh.
Get that big stuff out of here.
Douglas?
Until the battery runs out, no. No.
Get that big stuff out of here.
I would rather have an electric grill, yes. 100%. Why not? Next question, Doug. You are fully aware of this name. No liars. I can see all of you, so no lying. You are fully aware of this name. Roger Mooking.
The answer is yes, related to his Man Fire Food show.
Rusty.
Yeah, he's the dude on the cooking channel, right?
You vaguely can pull that guy off, and you'd never heard of Pat LaFrieda before in your life?
I don't know who Pat LaFrieda is still.
My God. John, be honest. You are fully aware of this name, Roger Mooking.
100% no.
Get that big stuff out of here.
Until I saw the bio on the finalists, 100% no.
Get that big stuff out of here.
I looked at the name, I was like, who's that? I knew 9 out of 10 names without having to look at anything, and I was like, who's that? So were you like that, John? Were you like, who's that?
Yeah, I had to go hit the Google box, like, who the heck is that guy? And then I had some vague, like, oh, I remember something about that show, but I'm like, no, I never would have, like, where did that come from was the first thing that crossed my mind.
Indeed. All right, we'll go to Rusty. If you had access to it, you would try the lava on steak trend that I'm seeing on Instagram right now.
I don't even know what that is, but it sounds pretty badass. So yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. Wrong one.
No. Thumbs up.
It appears you have to have really high heat tongs because there's a container that has lava and there's a raw steak and you pour the lava over the steak and that's how it cooks. You want to do that?
That sounds awesome.
All right.
Oh yeah.
Rusty is doubling in. Very good. Just so everybody's aware of what that was, I explained it to Rusty. Doug, are you in on this? Yes or no?
The only time I've seen it is on John's Instagram, and no way I don't mix tartar with crusty steak.
John, if you had access to it, you would try the lava on steak trend that I'm seeing on Instagram right now.
I would not. I absolutely, it freaks me out. There's no way.
Yeah. I can almost make this a majority, but Rusty's holding out. No, never. No, never.
Get that big stuff out of here.
Not only no, never, but I think the only video of somebody doing this is the one that John was sharing, because I had seen it a number of other times across various years. This person put zero effort into even trying to cook it right. This thing was as bad of a cooked steak as I have ever seen. Charred to death. Now, look, I understand whatever he's putting on top of that is probably 7. Well, how hot is lava, Doug? You're smart.
Gosh, it's got to be thousands of degrees.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how you're going to cook it, but he's doing it right. He's trending, so good for him. He's been mentioned on this show, or her, so good for you guys. We go to the next question. John, back to you. The general public thinks that the big grill companies make lots of money each year.
100% yes.
Rusty.
It's 570 degrees, by the way. Could reach up to 2,000 degrees. That's how hot lava is.
Wow.
Yeah. Yes. The answer is yes.
Doug, the general public thinks that big grill companies make a lot of money every year.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. And to make it a majority, I say yes as well. Yes. Of course, we know better. And the last question of the evening. We'll start with Doug. Doug, as a human man, you are disgusted by the fact that when you walk into a public restroom and saunter up to the urinal, there is so much pee on the floor.
Abso-frickin-lutely, and there's no better example than in airports.
John, as a human man, you are disgusted by the fact that when you walk into a public restroom and saunter up to the urinal, there is so much pee on the floor.
Absolutely disgusted by it. To follow up with Doug, for years as a traveler, my luggage never came back into my house and stayed in the garage because I was in and out of airports.
Yeah. Wow. Rusty, you are a human man. Are you disgusted too by the fact that when you walk into public restrooms and saunter to the urinal, there is so much pee on the floor?
As a human man, I can deal with it because I'm not a bitch.
Wow. I thought Positive Rusty was back, but Man Rusty is in full effect. I will go against Man Rusty and agree with the other guys. It's deplorable. I am disgusted as a human man, a male man, that, and now look, so I've seen it in the aforementioned airports. However, as you guys well know, I am also travel volleyball dad, and I show up in convention centers all across this great land east of the Mississippi, and it appears that no other male besides me can hang their pecker into the urinal. They do it on the fucking floor. I'm standing in piss. Like, I can't figure out what's more disgusting, the cat pissing on my electronics or me standing in piss. Like, what the hell is going on in the bathroom? By the way, the smartest person ever on the face of the earth, as we stay with the piss talk here for about 35 more seconds, whoever invented the splash dragon, you know what the splash dragon is? It's the thing that goes in the urinal. You can pee into it as hard as you want, and it does not cast back on you or your shirt or your pants, making you look like a pathetic slob. Not as much of a slob as the guys that are pissing on the floor, obviously, but a little less of a slob than those folks. But whoever came up with that, what a magician. Good for him. He's probably making millions of dollars. We're very happy for him. All right, so that's it for the embedded correspondence and the 100% Assurity questions. We do have a YouTube poll question of the week we should get out of the way as well. Rusty, attending a Memphis in May is a barbecue bucket list item.
Yeah, it's actually the number one thing on my list.
I thought you went a couple of years ago.
I was supposed to. I didn't end up going because I don't know why. I can't remember. But it's number one.
Doug, you were there this past weekend. However, if we can take ourselves out of last weekend, Memphis in May was a bucket list item for you.
Yes, it was. That was actually my second time.
Oh,
so the first time I went, because it was a bucket list. Yes.
John, Memphis in May is a bucket list item for you, or was a bucket list item for you?
It was, and I don't know if you recall, but after the first time I went, I called you and said it needs to be on your bucket list as well.
I don't remember that. I thought you said there's no way I'm ever going back there again. Now get me the hell out of here. That wasn't you?
Well, I said that too. But going there, it's like put it on the list. Put it on the list.
All right, so let's go ahead and take up with that just for a second, then we'll get to who we think should be going into the BBQ Hall of Fame tomorrow. Remember, 3 p.m. exclusive show here on the BBQ Central Show.
We'll do it live.
3 p.m. Eastern, Bill. We'll do it live tomorrow, and we'll find out who is going to be in the 2023 class for the BBQ Hall of Fame. Doug, you had mentioned that I should be attending Memphis in May next year. So as having done it now 2 times, what are the wins for me? So we know, I'm not a real big travel guy, and to me, there's got to be ROI. So what are the wins for me to go, in your opinion?
In the way you would schedule interviews and have a packed day of different interviews with all of these people. Heck, I just go, and a lot of times there's the public area and then there's the private area. You go into the private area, like I went in and Malcolm was just sitting there, and I, got 10 minutes with Malcolm, Heath Riles, Tuffy Stone, France, and like when I went to Blues Hog, there was Johnny Trigg and his wife sitting down there. So you can just walk around to each of the different booths and see barbecue legends left and right. Unlike, I think, the American Royal has a lot of different teams, but a lot of the barbecue royalty goes to Memphis in May, and Jack is going to be hit or miss because you've got to be invited to get there. So some years maybe so, and then Houston Rodeo is just Rodeo Gras. So,
what about from a business standpoint? If I'm going to go somewhere, I want the potential for business to transact. Is there business availability for me there, or do you think it's just for interviews?
Actually, the Home Depot tent where I was at would be a good place to fish a little bit. I mean, there was Gosney, Next Grill, Oklahoma Joe's was there, Brio, or however you say it, Masterbuilt. I mean, we were all in one big, large area together, so presenting and doing demos. So that would actually be a good place for you because there were VPs of marketing or North American directors, CEOs of all the different companies.
John, what do you think?
PK was there.
Yeah. All right.
Sorry.
A lot of the big names there. What do you think the wins are to go, John?
For you and your business, I don't know. For me, I remember finally leaving the booth, and Robert Sierra of an SNS pit crew drugged me out of the booth and took me, and it's the land of the giants, kind of mirroring what Doug said. You walk through the booths and you're just looking around, and you're like everybody's there. That's the way I feel about it. It's emotionally, as a barbecue person, it's a great experience. You are walking down the aisle in a land of the giants. That's the only way I can describe it.
Rusty, why do you want to go? Do you want to go compete, or do you want to go catch on with a team and hang, or what's your thought?
That's what's cool about it is I wouldn't do both. I'd love to compete in it. It's super intimidating. But I'd love just to go and hang out and talk to people and, meet some people that I've never met face to face and just soak it all in. It just seems like an extremely fun event. And I want to go so bad, and I'll get there for sure, whether I go to compete, which is hopefully how I go. But if not, just to go bum around and bother people,
I got an email from Jason in New Jersey. It says, "Dear future Barbecue Hall of Famer Greg," yet to be determined. Big fan. Been listening for almost 10 years. I have a question for you and your roundtable of barbecue experts you call the embedded correspondents. In the last few months, I've heard and seen a lot about boating your brisket. Most recently on Chud's barbecue video I checked out after he was a guest on your show. My question is, what's the deal with this? Is it the latest fad, a new way of doing an old trick, Or is this the next great method/tip that will evaluate everyone's barbecue game? Or, I'm sorry, elevate everybody's barbecue game. And if so, what's the proper way to do it? Unless I'm missing something, and I'm sure I am because I've barely looked into it. How is it different than putting your meat in an aluminum pan? Since you and you alone developed the mayo as brisket binder method, I turn to you for your amazing team for answers. Thank you in advance for your considered response. I'll be listening. Jason from New Jersey. Well, first of all, I'm happy that Jason has pointed out the fact that I am the one that started the mayo as a binder for brisket trend. So that is continuing to proliferate across the news. Whether it's accurate or not, we can argue about that later. What do you think about the boat method, John?
I don't have an opinion. I'm not going to try it. I'm not going to cook my brisket in a pan, but I think the analogy is very similar. So I don't get it either. I'm not in the camp. Somebody has to convince me.
What about you, Rusty? You into the foil boat method that Chud does?
Yeah, it's really cool. The main purpose of it is to maintain the bark and keep that integrity there. Also, the foil boat underneath it allows it to give that moisture that you want in a wrap. So you're doing both. So you're exposing the part that's not going to burn because it's the fat part and the rest is getting soaked up in the juice that's below. But you're also getting that nice bark on the top, getting that additional smoke in, what little there may be at that time. So it's a little bit of flavor with the integrity of the bark, and it makes it more moist.
Doug, are you into foil boating?
It's something that I would probably try at some point, but I think you can get the same thing by doing the Texas crunch, which is basically wrapping. I'd probably be less likely to put it in a pan as to wrapping it all nice and tight for a steaming effect. But if you want to get the bark, let it rest and then put it back on for 30 minutes and you're good to go.
Yeah, I would say, Jason, and I'm no expert from a brisket cook standpoint, but as I see Chud's boat method, or what was derived as he was at Leroy and Lewis, and now he's kind of made famous, the biggest difference between that and putting it in a aluminum pan is, as long as you're not covering the aluminum pan with foil, that's obviously going to affect the bark build on there. But otherwise, I don't know if there's a huge. I mean, Rusty, would you say there's a big difference if you put it in a foil pan versus putting the foil around it? Is there like the edges affecting the way the air is blasting over the brisket at that point?
You would have to put more juice in the pan portion of it because the edges will burn. So the foil boat will actually go over the side edges. In a pellet smoker, this is actually a pretty effective way to really maximize all that. But yeah, you want to, when you do the boat, it comes up over the edges. If you don't, then you have to put the liquid that goes above the edges, or they'll crisp up and they will be really hard bits.
All right. So, Jason, hopefully that helps you. And now we can get to where we want to go here this evening, which is putting two lists together. First, we are going to review the 10 finalists, and we have to pick who we think is going to be voted in tomorrow. Not who we personally want, but who we think the Hall of Fame members have voted for. And then we will each reveal our own personal list of 4 people that we would like to see go in. So, without any further ado, let's go to Doug. Doug, who do you think is being put in tomorrow? In no particular order.
Actually, I'm putting it in particular order.
All right.
On what I think is the most likely. The first name on my list is Flora Payne.
Mm-hmm. You want to explain why?
Well, she's been on a couple of years, and then her past is very similar to Desiree Robinson, if I'm getting the name right. So I think that and that was 2 years ago. So, in a way, 2 years too late. But anyway, Dave Raymond as number 2.
All right. Number 3.
Byron Chisholm.
All right. Bad Byron. Byron's button up. And your 4th.
Much to everyone's liking, and I'm sure this person is going to be on everybody's list. And very similar to Guy Fieri, Roger Mooking is going to be voted in.
Wow. Look, I don't know who's going in tomorrow, but if Roger Mookin gets in, I will eat my hat. I don't have a hat, so I'll go buy one, and then I will eat it next week. That's how confident I am of that. But we'll see.
Okay.
So Doug thinks Flora Payne, Dave Raymond, Byron Chisholm, and Roger Mooking are going to go in. John, who are your four that you think are going to be voted in tomorrow?
I think are going to be voted in.
Yeah, not who you
I'm
want.
Start with
who you think.
Correct.
Yeah.
Who I think the judges are going to select.
Yes.
I'm going to start out with Byron Chisholm.
Okay.
You know, look back in the early 2000s, he was smoking hot there before the butt rub. I'm going to go with Steve Grady, just because who doesn't want to go there and have some barbecue? Of course, Flora Payne, Miss Payne, it's time for her to go in, and I'm going to go with Darren Worth.
All right. Any backup on those choices, or are they all just standing alone?
They're standing alone. Right. I mean, that's where we're going to go. And if Mooking goes in, I'll eat a hat with you. We'll do it on social media.
Right.
We'll boat it, and then we'll eat it.
We'll trend it. Rusty, who do you think the committee is, or the voting members are voting in tomorrow?
Darren Worth, because if they don't, they need to. I can't do anything to live with themselves at this point. Dave Raymond, I think, would go in, just because he's Dave Raymond. I think Byron finally gets in this time, just because he should, and I also think that Steve Grady finally gets nodded into that one as well.
All right. So, Doug, I have to say, I'm a little surprised. You have no Darren Worth on your list. They think you don't think the crowd is ready to put him in.
No, I think he's kind of he rubs. In my personal opinion,
yeah,
I think he rubs some people. Is a little off-putting to some people.
Really? Right.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So now it's my list. So I'm going to agree with Byron Chisholm. I'm going to agree with Dave Raymond. See, like half the list, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are at least 1 or 2, if not more, on the finals list. And if my mind is telling, so that means I think Darren Worth is also going to get voted in. And then my last one is going to be Flora Payne. So that means, let's see. So my picks are everybody but Dave Raymond. Everybody is a returning finalist. My gut is that at least for the next couple of years, if we see a list that has half or more than half returning people on that list, there's a really good chance that those people are probably going to get voted in. So new blood can make it over the hump. So we'll see. All right. So we have some discrepancies here. Does anybody want to agree with anybody else here to get a finals list? Do we want to take anybody off? John?
Everybody seemed to be rolling with Dave Raymond, but me, correct?
You had Darren and Flora.
Yep.
Steve and Byron.
Correct.
Yes.
If I'm not willing to give up any of my picks to make a majority here. Nope. I mean, if Dave Raymond gets in the first round, it maybe belongs in one of the greatest businessmen's Hall of Fame, not necessarily the Barbecue Hall of Fame.
Rusty, you want to give up looks like you would be having to switch out a Steve Grady for a Flora Payne.
If I'm mistaken, Grady's been doing it longer. Am I right? It's been like 30 years. I think he's just been doing the same place.
I think Flora Payne's.
I think it's the other way.
At least
it's the other way.
Yeah, Flora Payne. So remember, there's a line of similarity between Flora Payne and Desiree Robinson from Cozy Corner, where the husbands started the business and then they died, and then the wives stepped in and have continued the business ongoing.
But did the wife do it and then Guy and Steve Grady step in? Because that's important.
No, Steve Grady started it, of course.
It was a joke. It was a dumb one. I'm gonna, I go Flora. I don't care. I go Flora.
Yeah,
I'm down for it.
Flora Payne and Doug. So Doug was Flora Payne and Dave Raymond and Byron Chisholm and Roger Mooking. Do you want to switch out Roger for Darren?
I'll switch out Roger for Darren or Steve Grady. Byron, I think we were unanimous on Byron. All four of us picked Byron.
Yeah. So like
Chisholm.
if you would need to drop out Roger for Darren, and then you would match me and Rusty. And that would give us a majority.
No,
John is unwilling.
John
is unrelenting. But we'll be a quorum without him.
John, yeah. So if I traded out Roger for Darren, that would be 4 for Darren.
Yes.
So okay, I'll do that.
All right. So most of us think that tomorrow you will see these people voted in no particular order: Darren Worth, Dave Raymond, Sweet Baby Ray, Byron Chisholm, Byron's butt rub, and Flora Payne, restaurateur. We will see tomorrow. Now, John thinks most of what we said is accurate, except he's going Steve Grady. And were you Darren Worth at the end, John? Yeah.
100% Darren Worth from the beginning.
Okay. So John is just a Steve Grady away from joining us. So he would have to put in Sweet Baby Ray in advance of Steve Grady. No, John? No?
I mean, hey, for the sake of the argument, sure, I'll go ahead and side with you guys. Even I don't believe.
No,
he's
you don't have to.
in the first
you don't
round.
have to. All right.
Then I'm going to hold. I'm going to stand pat, and I'm going to be the outlier.
John is going to be the outlier, thinking that Steve Grady is going to be the one voted in over who we think Dave Raymond. Again, these are who we think that the voters are going to put in, and now we can let it fly with a list of who we want to see go in. All individual lists. We're not coming to any type of majority, quorum, or otherwise, and we will go to Doug, your list of who you would like to see go in.
Okay, I'll start off with Flora Payne again.
All right. Look at you being consistent.
Next on my list is Darren Worth, the GOAT.
All right. The GOAT. The bristly barbecue competitor.
He's a take it or leave it guy. Take it or leave it. So I like Darren a lot, obviously, but I am going to go with Fast Eddie Morton.
Really? Right. Love Fast Eddie.
Joseph Traeger got in, so Fast Eddie should be in as well in my book.
Last one?
And I'm going to go with I can understand the Steve Grady, but I'm going to go with the sentimental pick, Malcolm Reed.
All right. Next. Rusty, your list of who you want to go in tomorrow.
First of all, David Close needs to go in. The guy's the greatest pitmaster that ever, or pitmaker of all time.
Preach, Rusty, preach.
He turned an airplane into a smoker. The guy's a genius, and he's been on Anthony Bourdain's whatever show, and fantastic character and a great pit builder. In fact, I think Paul Kirkwood's nice. Also, then I'm going to go with Donnie Teal. Of course, I got to represent my food truck people. Also a great competitor, so I want to be a Donnie Teal one day. And then Darren Worth for sure is someone I want to see go in. That needs to happen. And Malcolm Reed, that would be cool as hell.
2 for Malcolm. Wow. Next happens to be the guy from Michigan. John, who do you want to see go in?
Flora Payne, starting my list.
All right.
100%. Steve Grady, he's staying on my list.
All right.
Darren Worth, because I don't think there's anyone more deserving of the title on the planet, more than likely, from the comp side. And I'm rolling with Rusty on Dave Close, because he's made a smoker out of an airplane. Yeah. And he made a space shuttle, and it's
unbelievable.
It's Dave Close. He's earned a spot.
All right, these are who I want to go in no particular order. Believe it or not, 75% of us agree on this. Dave Close. I had a Dave Close offset pit for 10 years. It was the first offset pit that I ever had. I was lucky enough to cut my teeth on an offset cooker of that caliber. And I got it for free because some guy used to just collect cookers like some people collect fast cars or women. And I waited for him to collect enough cookers. And I said, hey, you don't use that Close anymore. Can I have it? And he's like, yeah, just come down and get it. And that's how I got my 42-inch offset Close pit. And it was a fabulous cooker. Next one for me is Fast Eddie. I love Fast Eddie. I love Fast Eddie for many reasons. Fast Eddie, John, I'm going to put you on the spot here, and I apologize. Do you recall Fast Eddie being in the Guest Hall of Fame? Was he in the 2018 class, maybe? Do you know?
I don't believe he is.
Stop it. That's for another show, but the answer is no.
No? Oh, all right.
Get that big stuff out of here.
The point is, he has been a long contributing member to my show. He has done a lot for the industry. He's done a substantial amount for pellet cooking and the evolution of that. So just on that alone, and he was a fairly successful competition cook too. I would like to see Fast Eddie go in. So Dave Close, Fast Eddie. Then I would like to see Darren Worth go in, of course. We agree on that. And then I would like to see Sweet Baby Ray go in. First time in. But man, oh man, this guy is... well, I hate to say it. Doug, you're fired. Okay, goodbye, Doug. Tornado
Amber alert.
Tornado
I can't
coming?
help that. Yeah.
Amber alert. Somebody's looking for the silence button on Doug's phone. We can't find it. The Amber alert's out for Doug's silence the phone button. I think Dave Raymond should be in easily. Outside of being a corporate sauce, I get it. It's corporate now, but before all the buyings and the sellings of Dave Raymond sauce, like Sweet Baby Ray's. Show of hands. No, let's not do that. Quickly, let's go around. In a pinch, Doug, you will eat Sweet Baby Ray sauce. Oh, sorry.
That's exactly what I thought of that.
Okay.
No.
Get that big stuff out of here.
Doug, Rusty, in a pinch, you will use Sweet Baby Ray sauce.
Absolutely. I think it's great. It's delicious.
John, in a pinch, you will use Sweet Baby Ray sauce.
It is 100% always in my home. 100% always. I walk right upstairs again. Doug, it's the most familiar sauce in the world.
Stand by.
Everybody loves it.
I understand.
It's
so
like,
I had the chance to use it earlier this month, and I said no. I said
I don't people use on the competition trail and kill it with it. I think it's the best out there as far as that goes in the big store markets.
I never unplug.
Do they dope it or do they use it straight?
The best advertisement for it.
Look, not only does John always keep it in his house, I have it right here just in case I need it, right by my studio. So
the best advertisement is the NFL player that stopped using Sweet Baby Ray's and lost 18 pounds.
Yes, but that's today's Sweet Baby Ray's sauce. That's not the old time when it was organic and healthy and you lost weight eating Sweet Baby Ray's sauce. The selling of it made it a terrible amalgamation of what it was originally. Let's see. All right, well, let's call it a night here, guys. So we agree almost. Let's see. Yes, go ahead, Doug.
I want to say I have a guess on the Impact Award.
Oh, right. Do we think that there's going to be an Impact Award? Doug, you think there's going to be an Impact Award?
I think there is.
All right. Who or what?
It's going to be to the Colonial Cooks in Virginia, the true birthplace of barbecue in USA.
All right. He is committed. Colonial Cooks. I've never heard of that, but we'll see. John, do you think there's going to be an Impact Award? And if so, who or what?
No, I'm going with no. Because I don't know who it would be. So I go no.
Get that big stuff out of here.
Rusty, Impact Award tomorrow or no? And if so, who or what?
I would say no because that's what the Hall of Fame is. They made an impact. I don't know why you need another one.
Rusty, do you even know what the Impact Award is?
I don't know. They hit somebody.
Rusty, it's something that doesn't have to happen every year, but is there a group or an organization or something that has made an impact in the landscape of live fire that maybe they can't go in as like an individual, like maybe a Darren Worth or a Chris Lilly or whatever, but they've made a big enough impact. Like, for instance, last year was the unsung African-American pitmasters. Do you see something like that happening this year? And if so, who or what would it be?
I have no idea. I'd say some stupid like Operation, Barbecue Relief, but I'm sure that's the dude, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Let's just go with no. Let's just go with no.
Right. High school barbecue teams.
Yeah, there you go. How about that? Pulling it right out of left field. Good for you, Rusty. I think the Impact Award. I don't think there's going to be an Impact Award.
Get that big stuff out of here.
Not sure.
John, did you have another try? Yeah, I thought John was.
I was just going to recant and go.
Yeah,
I was just going to recant if I couldn't go. I'm going to go with the BBQ Central Show and Greg Rempe for the Impact Award for tomorrow. See where that lands. Hey, it could happen.
Look, let's talk about that for a second. Is that, John, let's stick with you. Is that an honor for me, or is that a bit of a slight?
I see it as an honor. If they're saying you had an impact on the industry and they can keep you away from that podium at awards, it's a win-win for everybody. I mean, I know you don't need to be in the Hall of Fame. You're going to wind up in the Library of Congress. No one else in the Hall of Fame is going to wind up in the Library of Congress other than you. So no, I don't think it's a slight at all. I think it's a nod to your recent years of partnership with the organization.
Doug, is that a slight for me, or is that an honor?
I'd say would be a little bit of a slight for you, but it would be protecting. It'd be a CYA for them.
All right. So you're aligning more with John's thought on that?
Yeah.
Rusty, slight or honor?
It's a slight, bro. Like, I'm too competitive for that, man. I want the Hall of Fame. I want to be a Hall of Famer, and I'm in the Hall of Congress.
You're damn right, Rusty. You're pumping me up. Let me tell you something. If I get that Impact Award, you can shove it up your ass. I want in the Hall. Yeah. I want in the Hall. Or I'm out. That's right. All right.
You're still in the Hall. You'd still be in the Hall.
No. I want the Hall as me, not an Impact. I'm me. I'm a pillar. Tell him, Rusty, I'm a pillar.
That's right.
Yeah. Anyway, okay, we're going to run over. I got to ask this question because next month it's not going to be timely. This past weekend, Memphis in May takes place, as we know. Winning it is a team called Ribdiculous Barbecue Crew, however they spell it. And it's a bit of an amalgamation of sorts. What I come to find out here recently is one of the pitmasters on the team is a former winner of Memphis in May, the guy that was the pitmaster of Natural Born Grillers from back in the day. I believe he was winning his shoulders. John, and the last name escapes me, unfortunately. But he was on the team, and then Pigged Beach out of New York City. There were some folks that were on the team as well, but it was a big amalgamation. The question is this. First of all, Blues Hog was pretty freaking close coming back-to-back. They finished third overall in Hog. I wanted to see him go back-to-back because then that was going to be a whole statement that we were going to be talking about here this evening. But knowing what we know now, Blues Hog winning last year with Hog or Ribdiculous winning this year and doing it with Ribs is the bigger win. Which one? Doug.
Wow, that's a great question. When I talked to Heath Riles was actually cooking ribs because he wanted to be the guy to win in ribs in 21 years of absentee winner in ribs. So, wow, I almost think that Blues Hog is still bigger because they were cooking on that pit for one of the first few times and just came out of nowhere. So, I'm still go with Blues Hog.
John, bigger shock, Blues Hog winning last year or Ribdiculous winning with Ribs, keeping in mind that Ribs hadn't won overall grand champion since 2002. which was Pyropygmaniacs were the last ones to do it.
It's like, winning in ribs is the bigger win. Period. I don't care what's happened in the last 21 years. It's like it was no one. You don't cook ribs to win at Memphis and May because you can't. And they did it. Bam, boom, slam dunk. Drop the mic, walk away.
Rusty, bigger shock: Blues Hog winning last year in whole hog, or Ribdiculous winning this year in ribs?
Back in the late 70s, the Dogtown and Z Boys, if you guys never heard of this, it's a skateboarding documentary about the Zephyr team. And back in the day, people were riding on skateboards all flimsy and doing their little cute little tricks. And these guys just came in and wrecked the whole thing. Tony Hawk, they started doing all these crazy tricks. They come out of nowhere. Nobody sees this kind of thing, what they're doing. They break everything down. You don't even recognize it anymore. The way that they used to skate. Now they skate this way. They're skating in pools like Tony Hawk does. They changed the whole game. And Blues Hog did that last year. And that to me is huge because it kind of woke a lot of people up. And I think that it's going to be a really cool thing going forward. And the new guard has arrived essentially.
All right. Rusty is impassioned. I think Doug agrees with him. I hate to say that both Rusty and Doug are 100% wrong, and John and I are right. Regardless, a 21-year vacancy of Ribs winning the overall grand championship at Memphis in May is easily the bigger shot. Easily. I get that Blues Hog came in and changed the game, as Rusty said, but when you have a 21-year layoff on Ribs, like, I can cook pretty good ribs. So for Ribs to win the day at Memphis in May in 21 years, I want to know what the ribs tasted like when the Pyropygmaniacs made it, when they won it back in 2002, and how much the rib difference and taste has changed in 21 years. Like, that's how big of a gap it is. It's like exactly 21 years. So John and I are right, and John and Doug and Rusty are going to have to go home taking the L on this one, boys, but that's all right. Next month, you can try and get back off the schneid, and there you have it. So we have Doug to the right of me, the longest-running embedded correspondent from Texas, and John is below me from Michigan, who is also the executive producer of the Best Moments of the BBQ Central Show in 10 minutes or less, and then Rusty from the great city of Utah. Before we go on the way out, Doug, anything to promote?
Well, of course, I invited Lynn and Jeff, and I think this is one of the most interesting interviews that you will ever hear on Sterling Ball. That will be an upcoming show. I think it's unlike anything you've ever heard.
All right. Well, that means Doug, who is the host of the Baseball and Barbecue Show with his co-hosts Len Aberman and Jeff Cohen, is back at it again. Sounds like there'll be a Sterling Ball sighting. Happy to hear about that. I'm glad your podcast is going so well, Doug. I mean, you're, many hundreds of episodes in. I mean, who knew you were such a baseball and barbecue fanatic? But you've really spun this into a business.
And we're moving it from New York to San Antonio, Texas.
And the charity of you to bring these guys who barely know what they're talking about onto your show, make them feel good about themselves, this and that. I mean, you are a true gentleman, and we certainly appreciate you here on this show as well. John, anything to promote on the way out?
My Instagram's back up. I got hacked, but it's back. So check that out over at JS00. And of course, Friday, don't miss the best moment.
You didn't pay for that customer service, did you, John?
I did not pay for that customer service.
Yeah.
This is probably why. Yeah. No, I didn't do it. I was gonna, but I didn't. Nope. I'm back. JS00.
Rusty, on the way out, anything?
You can always listen to the Pitmasters podcast. We won't have an episode this coming up week, but you can get caught up in that time.
Yes.
And you also can follow me at Salt City Barbecue, spelt out with a C. If you want to come to Utah and eat some barbecue, we'll be out somewhere if you come to Utah at this point. We are everywhere.
All right. So, gentlemen, always appreciate it. There they are. The embedded correspondents, Doug, John, and Rusty. We will see them at the end of June, and we are over. I didn't think we were going to be over at all, but...
This is Chris Payne from Euclid, Ohio, and you are listening to BBQ Central.
All right, there's Chris Payne right there. Oh, okay. Wow. Look at what's happened here. You go a little long, and everything is just all off kilter, so we'll make sure that we spend 1 second here, take all these off, and get out the right way. Let's eject that. Now we can go. Right. All the way back in the first hour, Chris Lilly, Big Bob Gibson, Facebook.com, or you can follow Chris socially, Chris Lilly BBQ, on Instagram and Twitter. See what he's up to, interact with him in that platform, or those platforms. And then the second hour, the Embedded Correspondents, Doug Scheiding from Texas, John Solberg from Michigan, Rusty Monson from Utah, talking about who we think might be voted in by the voting members tomorrow, and also who we would like to see go in. We also had 100% Assurity questions, so if you missed all of that, make sure that you get all the podcasts if you're just tuning in now. Hour number 1 up here shortly, and hour number 2 Thursday, and a best of on Friday featuring Melissa Cookston, pitmaster of Yazoo's Delta Q, and the owner of the Memphis Barbecue Company restaurant down there in Memphis. So programming note, once again, tomorrow on Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern, there will be a live exclusive show announcing who the Barbecue Hall of Fame members are going to be for 2023, both living in the legacy category. We will also learn if there will be an Impact Award. And then we will have a big show, new big show, next Tuesday as we get ready for June. Still one more week left. But we'll be, actually, we will be in June. I believe we'll be, that's not right, is it? In any event, next Tuesday, there's going to be a show, and it's going to be live, and it's going to be really big, this I can tell you. There'll probably be a Sam the Cooking Guy, there'll probably be a Malcolm Reed, the whole kit and caboodle that you've become used to. So, how do I always leave? September 11th, 2001. I will never forget. Until next Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern, this is your program host and proud U.S. American, Greg Rempe. Bye-bye.
This is Dion Blumenrader with Big Hoss One Sauce, and you're listening to the best show on all things barbecue with my man, Greg Rempe.